Jesus could have been a alien or hybrid or connected to the aliens? Yep. There's some research out there that definitely proves that there is some type of connection, and it's up to us to really look into it. But I'm going to provide that tonight because how would I want to say that? Number one, you're talking about some of these photos right here where these are old paintings back in the 1700s that are showing alien spacecraft when it comes out. Why? How could they know about that back in the 1800s when you see all of these different alien spacecrafts? So I believe, and I would definitely say to you that Jesus probably could be an alien hybrid. Okay, I know I am going off the roof. I'm gonna get a hit by the people. You know what? That's fine. I get it. Religion has its way, but we have to then start thinking about the truth and what is happening out there and what could possibly be coming back to a point for us to truly go through some of the stuff that we're doing. So what we're going to do is go into it ourselves. Let's go into it. And, we already talked about the alien blood. Remember that? So, and it was tied back to extraterrestrial, and we hit on the Jesus part of that as well. So if you have not, go and watch this particular video. Now, also for those of you who I will say that is going to watch part 2 and part 3, you're going to find that inside the Truth Seekers membership area, which I'll put part 2 in there by Sunday. So it is pretty cool because part 2 is going to cover the contact blood types study. We're going to talk about the strangeness of it and how it could possibly threaten some things. The reason why RH negative people are being tracked. Yes, you want to get that information. And then, of course, part 3, we're going to go back into the Nephilim side of things. We're going to go back into Adam and Eve, the Anunnaki. All of that's going to be in the members area. So there is a pinned link at the chat. So you definitely want to be able to get that with you as well. And we can do that. So let's hop right into what we're going to be talking about tonight. I think that, a lot of you probably consider, but it all started for me when I was 12 years old. I live in Dallas, Texas, and there was a time that, we used to hang out on the street corners and we would stay out late at night. But our mothers will flick the porch lights. That's how they did it when it's time for you to come in. And just so happens we would always bet who's got to go in first, who's going to do what we call the walk of shame. And just so happened as it was me. My mom flipped the porch light. It was time for me to go in. But right when I was walking into the porch, and I lived in Dallas, right where the Dallas Zoo. So at night, you're going to hear, at that time, lions and all the animals and stuff because they would feed them at night. And we was probably less than a mile from the zoo. Well, anyway, I looked up, and there it was. I saw a white kind of object zigzagging, and behind it was 2 jets that was following it. And that was a moment to really shape where I am today. I didn't realize how significant that moment was, but as the months and years rolled by, it became very significant. Now, I was always into some of the shows, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and all of these things, but it also led me to start asking those questions, those curious Christian questions. I was a curious Christian. And I was like, okay, could this be? Is there more life out there? What is this talking about in the Bible? But as I got a full-grown adult and I became that, then I could take that trip on my own. I didn't have to have my mother shaping it because she didn't have it. She didn't want to hear anything if it was not the fact that it was in the Bible. But it was until that moment that suddenly I was looking at Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, let's make man in our image and the likeness of ourselves. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, who's talking here? Who's saying this? And that took me into the direction. Then years later, I was talking with the she-wolf, and we were talking, and I was saying, this is my ex-wife, I'm sorry. So I was talking to the she-wolf, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this alien stuff. And she didn't want to have it. It was, no, we are not talking about it in the house. You're not going to talk it around my children, which I had some step boys, 3 of them at the time. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. Well, I ended up getting on Clubhouse, the audio app, right before, all this pandemic stuff broke out. Started a group. I just wanted 30 people. Got all of a sudden, it got up to 30,000. Applied for Clubhouse's Creative First. They wanted to help people, 5,000 applicants. They chose 60. I was one of the 60. And then all of a sudden, we had a final where you had to create a show. I created an audio UFO show on Clubhouse. I won. I actually won. Got a contract to do where they paid us a $30,000 contract on Clubhouse for us to do audio there. It was amazing. And from there, it definitely launched my career into some of the stuff you see now, being on Ancient Aliens, being on Gaia with George Norrie, Regina Meredith on Gaia, as well as, working with Billy Carson and over at the Forbidden Knowledge team, and going also to Fox Tubi and Amazon Prime. I have over 11, 12 TV credits, even got more coming up this year in 2024. And I'm only saying this to say, because the point I'm trying to make and am making is the fact that that one moment when I was 12 years old changed everything, until I decided to go into a little research to talk about this Jesus thing. And how did I go into that? Well, it was because I started seeing those photos. I was seeing paintings in the 1700s where they weren't even talking about UFOs then, but why would UFOs be in paintings around Jesus back in that time? Well, we don't talk about it, but we should. We don't get into it, but we should. I think there's something for people to go. So I ended up looking into something called the Yellow Book. If y'all remember that, Linda Moulton Howe talks about the Yellow Book. They all talk about this is a particular book that the Ebens, which were the extraterrestrials, had and showed our government, that had some type of way to go back in time to show the whole entire history. Yes, our entire history about where we came from, who and how. And in this particular book was some pages talking about Jesus Christ's story, which I have here. And I'll probably put in a link probably tomorrow where you can go if you want to go find this particular gentleman who talks about, he's really in detail about the Yellow Book, and share some incredible information. And I'll put the website there. I think you can go and get the book for like $30 or whatever, but I also have the PDF, and just as always, I might be willing to share it with the audience. But we'll talk about that a little later from there. But let's get right into the story that we have and what we're going to talk about. It's Friday, so I know a lot of people are doing what you're doing. So I'm going to welcome you being here, and we're going to get right into it. So what if in this particular document, and I'm also give it the same disclaimer. I'm only reporting what I'm reading. I'm just a messenger, okay? But I do have my own opinion, and I'm sure you probably have your own opinion when it comes down to, is this one of those things? And I know this particular video is going to be a really touchy video because it's going to rub some people in some areas, but we're going to go through it as quickly as possible. But if you're one of those people, then you should, because the thing I will state to you, it is time that we thoroughly question everything. We have to. It is important that we question these things that is putting up to us. We already understand disclosure is coming out. We understand what they're doing. And so if they're already working on disclosure, then we have to understand that the signs are all around us of our past, which is our future. But most people won't open up their eyes. And I've said it before, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. According to the Yellow Book, Earth humans was established, or the Earth humans established a religion on Earth and posted the first alien ambassador here on Earth. Now, it was revealed in the Yellow Book that Jesus Christ was a creation of one particular alien group, the Ebens. Now, Jesus was genetically engineered human, and he was an alien hybrid sent to Earth to teach the humans a lesson of love and tolerance. but we know what happened to that deal, correct? We know that plan failed. We crucified the dude, right? So we know that didn't work. And So what did they do in plan two? They had another plan. But anyway, as these people are talking about that the advanced technology, when they talk about it, is the way that the ancient people was impressed by the miracles of Jesus. And, you remember there was all of, fed 5,000. He done all of these different things. And you can, put together with all the miracles that you know. And when you think about it, why wouldn't that start what we have today, all of the stories and the power behind all of this? Now, this, of course, wasn't the first extraterrestrials when they tried to influence human affairs. Actually, they did this with Moses, all right? And they did it as a burning bush, which was an alien craft and radiation at this time. And they presented the 10 Commandments to mankind. And the aliens thought, hey, this Christ project will be no different, but needless to say, their experiment went bad. It didn't work out. We know that. And so I think one of the things that evidence is going to show you tonight, and as we show you some of these paintings, and you're going to do the research yourself, that there had to have been some alien influence. Now, we can go back into the Egyptian temples. We can go back into all of those things where the hieroglyphics or whatever they call them on the walls, and where they had these helicopters and crafts all way back in the beginning of time. And so therefore, obviously, the earth had been visited at this point, and it was pre the Jesus era, so before Christ. And so at this point, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't the aliens say, you know what, these people are getting out of control. We need to corral them. Let's play some mind games. Let's play some situations here. Let's send an ambassador. Let's teach them love. Because we talk about that now. That ascension is where we're heading now. Love. Everybody's talking about love. And you hear all the stories that the extraterrestrials saying, we're not ready. The humans are not loving yet. All these different things that contribute to this. And so at this point, this will be one of those things that we will look at. Well, they also, once again, like I said, they appeared as Moses there. And although many believe that they're here to teach that life, sacrificing his life was the main objective, but it wasn't. Him sacrificing his life wasn't the objective. He was here to teach. Now, when they say, okay, we're going to go ahead and take this man out, but think about what happened after that, okay? Think about that. Supposedly, they said that the Ebens here were angry when they came back to check on the progress and only to find that the humans had killed him. So they were pissed off to the highest of festivity at this point. They are mad because they sent this ambassador here who was a hybrid. And you can go back into the stories, Jesus in the manger, or how did Mary Magdalene get pregnant, or all of these different stories. But once again, and let me put something on the screen, and I'll do it right now, one of these particular pictures. Now, this was supposedly be when he was doing his I think it was a baptism. This painting was done in 1710. 1710. And you see that painting has a freaking UFO over at the top of this thing, okay? This is a painting that was done way back in the 1700s. We didn't have flying saucers or aircraft. We didn't have things that will probably at some point be mistaken. It was a plane or a bird or a big old pterodactyl or something. Look at what I'm talking about. This is back then when this was happening. So therefore, at this point, we get it. We understand that there's something that we probably want to look into. And okay, fine. Research definitely proves, if you research, that they saw UFOs and somehow they connected the dots with Jesus. That's all I'm saying. You can go look at the verifiable data, and that would be old photos. Go back to all of the, pyramid stuff well before he's after that. But the whole point I'm saying, there's a lot of stuff that you should go and why shouldn't you dig deeper into this thing if you really wanted to know? Or you're afraid? Would it be something that you don't want to cover? We don't want that truth? Just like I tell you, you don't want disclosure. Do you really want that truth? Now, what would happen though? What would happen if disclosure did disclose what was in this yellow book? And I got more to talk about. But what would happen? So while we're still here thinking that we want to know that aliens exist, but this disclosure thing is huge. It is huge implications when it comes down to unveiling areas that people may not be ready for at all, period. All right, let's keep going. But you're ready because you're a truth seeker. And if you're a truth seeker, you are ready. And I know this for a fact that you're ready. All right, let's get into, and like I said, this is a 120-page document called the Yellow Book. I'm only reading a few pages. This is what Linda Moulton Howe was talking about that the government found. It was this thing called, it was like a little device, kind of like this iPad that showed everything, and they was talking about that. And so I think it's one of those things that you should look. I don't know. I think it's pretty much to really think about it. But here's what I'm saying. Let's keep going if you want. And if you want a copy of the whole thing, I don't know, send $10, $15 or whatever to the Cash App, put Yellow Book, and I'll send you the whole 120 page. Or you can go, I'll put the link in there and get it for $30. That's up to you. I'll just give you a copy. Just maybe a few of you may want it. It's deep though. It's really deep. All right. So they're saying that 2,000 years and millions of atrocities later, Jesus, space alien, is being worshipped as a god. Now, what they're saying is, and what he's saying is, man is truly a pathetic creature, is what he said. Desperately yearning for an almighty being to control and regulate their lives. That's what happens, right? And frantically looking for God in tortillas. He talking about oil stains, tree trunks. And it's true. How many stories do we hear where somebody say, oh, I see the Virgin Mary in the clouds. Oh, that tree trunk is Jesus. I can see him in it. Oh, matter of fact, yes, I see him in whatever it is. It's like we're looking. We want it. We have to have this particular story almost to a point that it has to be true. If it's not, we're going to make it true because there's nothing else to believe. Because on the latter of that side is that we have an extraterrestrial connection. That is the problem that most people face when it gets down to this, because either it is a true story or on this side of the point, we have one of those deals. And I'm saying to you that it is time that we thoroughly question this stuff. I'm saying it. I'm going to go on a limb and tell you it is time that we thoroughly question everything. Every damn thing. Question everything, period. And I'm saying accept nothing that I don't care what the deal is. Don't accept nothing as face value until you find out. I don't even care if you don't respect what I'm saying, but still go further. Go further. You have to go further. It is imperative that you do. It is your mission to go further, because if not, there's things. Now, we do know that the rumors have it. There's things are happening. There's a time bomb. Something is ticking. We're hearing about it. The great ones are, or money people are buying bunkers and people are being prepared and ready for everything. But what are we doing? And I'm not saying you, but what if we as a collective, as people that's sitting on the other side of that fence, we're still going to say, no, don't worry. Jesus is not going to let that happen. God, which we know there's a God. I'm not saying that. There is a God, okay? Undisputable, okay? There is a God. We're just talking about the stories and when we go there. Let me keep going. What they're saying is that he's saying, where we like it or not, hidden somewhere is a ultra top secret government facility, and even more likely to be in the Vatican archives, he thinks. It's probably clear evidence that most of the gods on earth and ancient religions were aliens. Boom. I can stop now. I can just go ahead and just turn the live stream off, because there's a few of you who said, hey, you want that? You want me to send it to you? Fine. Okay, I'm going to get it out to you. And make sure that you all send me your email address so I can email it out. But there's a few of you who's going to get all of this truth, and bless you, because you need to. The Yellow Book has been one of the biggest secret, or the Yellow Machine is what it's called. It was something like an iPad. You've heard Linda Moulton, how all of them talk about it, that they were able to look at it, and then it'll just go back in history. It shows everything that happened, everything that is to happen. It's kind of funny because it's our future. They already know. And it's in there, and they talk about it. But this guy tells you all about this thing. It's 120 pages. It will blow you away when it comes down to this. And we're just going to be just scratching a few pages of this tonight. But anyway, the other part of this is how many of Earth religions are based on extraterrestrials interacting with humans, displaying technology. We see that in these paintings. I can go ahead and do that. We can see it in these paintings. Being mistaken as gods, this technology, by primitive humans, kind of like the cargo cults in the Pacific War, he's saying, during World War II, who worshiped technology advanced Americans who flew to their islands and gave them food and displayed miraculous items like radios and guns. They probably did that in the movie King Kong. Y'all remember King Kong, the movie, where they showed up at the island and played radios and all this, and then they, of course, said, hey, these, I don't know, but they end up capturing the girl who Kong fell in love with. That's a whole nother story. But I will tell you that the mightiest of all have been taken down by a female. Big King Kong and Mighty Joe Young and Samson, all the great ones have been taken down by a beautiful woman. That's y'all power. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but y'all are powerful, very powerful, and I love it. I love it about you, okay? And where I'm going with this was, unfortunately, what they're saying, that the powers that be are more than happy to have human sheeples. You know, I used to sell a shirt on our website that had sheeples on it, and believe in what they call false religions, and will keep them pacified, compliant, and restrained. So obviously at this point, we can then sit here and say to the fact that religion was put in place to control the environment. You talk about the Tower of Babel, when the humans said, hey, we're going to build this thing to go reach the gods, Anunnaki or whoever, felt no, hell no. They're getting out of control. And so what they end up doing was putting humans on 4 pillars of the earth, you know, and said the one thing that we're going to do is break the language. If they can't communicate, they can't work together. And how powerful was that theory? How many of us is in relationships that we can't talk to our significant others and nothing works? Or you're at the work job and you can't, communication is the most powerful form, period, bar none. And the extraterrestrials or the Anunnaki, they proved it. When they said, we're going to put you over here, you over here, you over here. And as long as y'all can't communicate right and talk to each other, you can't build nothing. Damn, ain't that profound? I was married to the she-wolf. And if you can't communicate, you can't build nothing because y'all can't communicate. That is crazy. Well, alien lessons right there. Take that to the bank. Take it to the bank. Anyway, let's keep going. I think, and as Diana says, yes, those big secret keepers, absolutely. They have the access. They've probably seen the digital thing, the machine itself, because it's, like I said, they was doing it. Now, the question that most people will ask all the time was, were the aliens present at the crucifixion of Jesus? Now, that's the question. Because if that's the case, they would have saved him or not. But let me go back real quick and show you. All right, here's a photograph. This was back in, I think, 1600s. Look at over to the right top. You're going to see that there's a UFO with a beam of light coming down, and this again was Mary Magdalene with Jesus. Okay. They don't just make this stuff up. What kind of creative mind did they have back then if the story wasn't told? Here's another one. I'm just go back deep. This is ancient civilization photographs, paintings, that are associating extraterrestrial technology with human mankind. All right, I'm telling you, it's there. I'm saying to you, it's there. The evidence clearly shows that there has to be some connection. I'm not saying I can prove it all, but I'm telling you, it's there. And you have to consider it yourself. You got to consider what I'm showing you and take the next journey and begin to open up your curiosity. See, my job is to provide you enough information that you can hear if I'm talking about it, things that you can see. And if you get some of these little documents, things that you can read, okay, to open up your mind to the possibility of what we're talking about tonight. And if I can just get you to open up your mind to the possibility to the information, shouldn't we go deeper into it? Shouldn't we? Absolutely we should. I'm glad you asked. Shit, let's do it. Here's another painting. This is at the crucifixion. They made a painting back then, and over to the right and left is two UFOs. And he did say, Father, he was talking to somebody. Somebody he could hear. They know not what they do. All right. Okay. I'm crazy right now. That's fine. I'm out of control. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. That's it. So, all right. Now, listen. Damon. I call her the she-wolf. Otherwise, I can give y'all her name, and why would I do that? I wouldn't put nobody out there like that. But there is a reason. Some days she was the most beautiful thing in the world, and there are some days, whew, she was a wolf. All right, so this is me. But I when I was married, I loved her. Okay, is that better? Okay, let's go into where aliens present. Was they there with the crucifixion? And they're saying this because this painting on the walls of the cathedral, now this was in the northwest of the Georgian capital, is an image of Christ and have sent conspiracy theories to a frenzy. And this is the one that I just showed you. This is showing the crafts, like I said, advanced technology with humans, of course, clearly would not have been there 2,000 years ago, people. How could they have done that? What if the opposite was true, that he was a hybrid? How would you feel about that? How would that impact society? How would that impact your religion's beliefs? If the opposite was true than what we've been told. I'm not here to preach to you tonight. I'm not doing it. And I know it's Friday, Freaky Friday, and I know I'm saying some things, but I just want you to know this is what we're here for. We're here to uncover the truth because we're the truth seekers. And by the way, that's some high strange shit that what I'm talking about, because it is. Yes. And that's the tagline say, you may not believe it. You may not believe it. But anyway, these ships were dome-like. This is what you see up there, okay? And they have three tails coming out of each, which looks like a propellant or some type of kind of possibly could be light shining down. Now, as art historians talk about who have studied this 11th century painting, claim that the strange craft actually represent guardian angels. So they try to put it to a different sense, that these are guardian angels. And they can call them whatever they want. But whatever they was flying in the sky. And there was no technology from humans at that time that could fly and also stand still enough that they're going to be doing a painting that those things was fixed right there in the spots. Okay, I'm telling you, you can play with it all you want, but we're going at it. We're going at it. And I think that's one of the things on it. The other part of this they're saying is that, but during this, I guess it's called a Bastane period, which was present in the Southeast Europe and Southwest Asia up into the 1450s, angels were depicted as human-like with wings. All right. So right there contradicts everything. So what he's saying in this, which I'm sure, once again, if you decide it's something you want, make sure you put Yellow Book and make sure you put things in there and we'll make sure we go from there. So where I'm going with this is, and what I'm trying to say is that he just said it. If the historians are trying to say that it was angels, then the contradictory side of this was the fact that at that time, in that period of time in the 1400s, angels, everything that was an angel had wings. They would draw wings. They didn't draw an alien UFO craft as an angel. So whether somebody in that history of those art historians trying to change the story, that's what they're doing. I'm telling you. Don't swallow the lies, people. They expect for you to believe that, but yet if you're going to be an historian, then you can figure it out. The time just doesn't add up. It's almost like you see some of those time traveler photos that people were putting out on the internet. And then they show one that this guy he's a time traveler, but he had a cell phone. I'm like, really? Who the freaking gonna believe that shit? All right, and if you have, let me tell you something. If a time traveler went back to the past with a cell phone and you captured on a picture and he was sitting there talking, who the hell was he talking to? Because number one, they didn't have no technology for the phone to even work back then. There was no cell towers for it to work with the technology. So when we see these kind of photos that they're putting out, this is somebody really distorting what's really happening. So don't believe that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to go with reality. Once again, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. You have to think why. So why would somebody be on the phone back in the past that don't even have cell towers and they want us to believe he was a time traveler because he's on his phone? Really, really don't float the boat. That one don't float the boat. All right, let's keep going. And like I said, if you go back to that particular Byzantine period, which was at the time when Southeast Europe and Southwest Asia, when you go back to those, it was the 1400s, angels had wings. So when we get the historians trying to tell us, all those pictures, those ones, angels up there, they ain't got no wings and they don't even look human-like because angels was human-like with wings. Don't believe it. So the unknown artist who they don't know seems to be telling us that at this point in the painting that you see, that the saucers was present during the death of Jesus, and the faces likely means that these craft was piloted by people or beings that seem to play a central role in this event. Man, history is something. And once again, this yellow book talks about a lot of that stuff in history, or he called it the yellow book, but he's writing totally about it. Incredible, by the way, very incredible. But don't it make sense, though, what we're talking about? Don't it make sense what we're talking about? I will say the time bomb is ticking, my friends, on the disclosure clock. And if we're not prepared mentally, it's going to be a shock. And that shock, for some people, it's going to mess their heads up completely. Mess them up completely. But not you and not anyone else. It's time to start sharing the channel. We need to bring more people to understand, because I'm going to be bringing all this stuff out. I'm going to hit it hard. Bring them, because they need to be ready. I don't care, but they need to be ready. Now, what they're saying is that they must have been part of the crucifixion story, at least as what we were taught by the Georgian Orthodox Church. Were early artists and the Orthodox Church aware of certain facts about ancient aliens that have been veiled or hidden from us today? Did they know? You get what I'm saying? So obviously, even if that wasn't present, it definitely tells you in every form or fashion, the evidence clearly shows us, let me put it back up, that they were informed about alien activity because they put it in the paintings. Definitely the stories have passed down, and where did it get twisted to where it changed and all of this stuff was no longer existing in future daily what we have today. That is something that we have to look at. And I'm sure the experts agree that the painting was authentic because they did. They agree that it was an authentic painting. But you still can't explain away what the artist and what he thought and saw to paint. You can't explain that away. You just can't. And why would you try anyway? If the facts are like that, it's crazy. Why try? All right, so what also is going to come to a surprise to most people, but throughout history, Jesus Christ and Christianity have been linked to alien activity. And we'll go to a few of this. 2 separate texts from Egypt now being held in the Morgan Library and Museum in New York, and the other in the Museum of the University of Pennsylvania. Go check it out. It's there in the library. Now, I already know. They say if you want to keep a secret from certain folks, put it in writing because we're not going to read. And the story behind that is when I was in high school, we had a coach. He was like a father figure. And at that time, because of redundancy, we would go in and he would always have our workout schedule posted. And we just would read it and keep going. And sometimes he'll put a little motivation, but nobody cares. We just want to know what we're doing today. And just like most of you, you just want to know what you're doing today. One day, he wrote at the bottom, whoever reads this, come in my office and get $20. Now, there was hundreds of athletes coming in and out, or people, or, during that time. And it stayed up there for 2 fucking weeks. And I wasn't the one who discovered it, but it was someone else who finally read it, went in there and got the $20. Ain't that crazy? And his thing was he wants to teach us that you got to read the fine print. You got to read everything. And ever since that 10, I've become a researcher. That was another part of why I'm here today, because that moment of that particular teaching moment was probably no coincidence, right? I've always told you there is no coincidences. And I believe that coincidence is God's way of being anonymous. So that moment of coincidence of me learning that propelled me to where I'm at today, to be a truth seeker and also provide you with information, because I'm reading everything, all of it. I want to make sure, some of y'all text me and I'll be telling me I'm reading that. Even if I just got to go in there because it's there. Now, suddenly, as I began to go deeper into this, by the way, which they're saying that if you go back to the museums of University of Pennsylvania, which have been deciphered in the past few years, as they actually suggest that Jesus was a shapeshifter. Boom. Now this, I think as we get farther, it's getting pretty weird. I may need to stop. What do y'all think? I can keep going. We got a lot more. We can keep going because there's going to be some people hating. And all I'm saying, don't attack the messenger. You can you can go, again, I'll put the link up later and get $40 and 30, I think it's 35, you can get it. Or like some of you who are going to get it when this thing is over, I'm with you. Yeah. And it's going to happen. And so, and I want to thank all of you who are finding value in the show tonight. And you can do that. And so I think for the most part, it's kind of funny that that I will be sitting here telling you to support the show, and there's no way to do it. But those who've been doing it, y'all already have been supporting the show because I hadn't put up the Cash App of anything up here. But anyway, for now, for those of you who want to, the Cash App is now scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Oh my God. And I just love the people who've already supported, because that means you've done it already. And I'm just in your notes there. Bless you, all of you. I love you. So let's keep going, though. Let's keep going, because the text described Judas, the betrayal of Christ. Then the Jews said to Judas, "How shall we arrest him?" They was talking about Jesus. "For he does not have a single shape, but his appearance changes." Okay, it's there. They wrote this crap. Stuff, good stuff. It says, how do we arrest him if his appearance changes? Sometimes he's ruddy. Sometimes he's white. Sometimes he's red. Sometimes he's a wheat color. Come on, brothers. Sometimes he's pallid like the Aztecs. And sometimes he's a youth. And sometimes he's an old man. We can't go no further than that. The sugar honey iced tea is real. So now everybody's history is screwed up from the yellow book and what they're saying, because we do tell people that he was black. And some people now we know he was white with blue eyes. Now he was a shapeshifter is what they're saying. And they did that. If you think of the movie Zeus, not the movie, but it was the, I forget the movie, Zeus playing in it. He was a shapeshifter. He was helping the dude, the young boy. He would come in as an old man. Sometimes he would come back as an eagle. Okay, so could these stories be interactive or cross? I'm saying, yeah. I'm telling you, it's real. It's real. It's real. And so it's one of those things that makes you wonder as part of what they're saying. So once again, I'm going to go over it again because I know people are trying to ask. The text described the Judas, it's coming from, it's the Judas betrayal of Christ, of Judas, is what they're saying. And the Jews said to Judas, how can we arrest Jesus, is who they was talking about, for he does not have a single shape, but his appearance changes, and sometimes he's ruddy, sometimes he's white, sometimes he's red, go figure. Sometimes he's a wheat color, okay. Sometimes he's pallid like the Aztecs or Textics or whatever they call them. Sometimes he's a youth, and sometimes he's an old man. All right. Shapeshifter. That is not a bad theory, by the way. That is not a bad theory. And how can we uncover the real truth together? Well, we dig in. We dig in hard. We dig in hard. That's all I'm saying. Question everything. Nothing, believe nothing as face value. Question everything. This is why we call the truth seekers. This is why we know they're the big secret keepers. We got to be careful with that. We got to be careful because they already been playing games for thousands of years. And then you think they're ready to unleash that power, give it up? And you better believe this. And I'm telling you, just because we're getting closer and closer to disclosure, doesn't mean that they're not working on plan B. Because they know it's coming. They already know when they're going to let it out, if they are. They're already working on their plan B, C, and D while we're still focusing on aliens are real. Is there UFO? They got, the government got a flying machine. Who? What? This is deep. We talking about the Bible, for crying out loud. The number one book in the world, the teaching, the holy grail of information is what we're talking about here. We're talking about the thing that have shaped everybody just about in some form or fashion, and it continues to shape the future. So could you imagine when the extraterrestrial shows up and they're on to the right side, and you still got our religious institutions on the left side? How are they going to play this thing? And if you think about history, then they already know that we killed their golden goose who came to teach us some stuff. So why would they really want to present themselves right now without being ready? That's another thing. I'm telling you. All right, I'm gonna go into some more parts. Another reading is to a point where they're saying it's written in Coptic language, is what they call it. A form of Egyptian describes how Ptolemy, I think it's Palete or whatever, Palete, had dinner with Jesus the night before his crucifixion. So meaning he shapeshift there. The Romans, who consider a saint in the Coptic churches, which could explain a favorable view of him, then tells Jesus, well then, behold, the night has come, rise and withdraw, and when the morning comes and they accuse of me because of you, I shall give them only son that I have so they can kill him in your place. Woo-wee. All right, I'm gonna read it again, a little more proper for you. It's by the way, like I said, if you want it, Cash App, you'll get it. It's across the stream. But if you want to support the show, let me keep going here. So the Romans who considered a saint in the Coptic churches, which would explain the favorable view of him, tells Jesus this. This is what the Romans said. Well then, behold, the night has come. Rise and withdraw. And when the morning comes and they accuse me because of you, I shall give them the only son I have so that they can kill him in your place. Then Jesus responds like this. Dun, 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 dun. All right. He says, "Oh, Palate," or whatever, "you have been deemed worthy of a great grace because you have shown a good disposition to me." Jesus then supposedly showed Palate that he can escape if he chose to by shape-shifting, the text reads. Palate then looked at Jesus, and behold, he became incorporated. He did not see him for a long time. Shit. Woo, if this comes out in disclosure, man, you talking some wild stuff, everyone. If the yellow book and a lot of this stuff comes out in disclosure, we're talking some wild stuff. All right? Y'all get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. We're talking some wild stuff. It can't get no wilder. And when and like I said, I'm just reading, I'm just a messenger. All right? If you want to dig in deep yourself, you go do the research. And then come back and we can do that. But all I'm saying is, have you considered the fact that some of this stuff that they're hiding from us, there may be some truth in it? Have you considered that? You should. You should. You know, the evidence of this stuff, let me go back right here, clearly shows us, you know, here's a clear photograph back in the 1400s. You can't get no, and it's not no AI. This is a painting. You can't get that showing two freaking aliens. All right? This is supposed to be the baptism. And up there you see a UFO back in the 1400s or 15. I mean, way back. Way back. Where did it come from? How could they do this? Why would they do this? That's all I'm saying. The signs are all around us. And if we just dare to open our eyes, we will see some stuff. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. You have to open them. We got to. You got to open your mind first to the possibility and think about what we're talking about. True that, to be exact. Let me continue. The Annunciation with the Saint Emeritus is in an altarpiece painted by Italian artist Carlo Grivelin in 1486. It was a crafted comrade of Angel Gabriel's announcement to the Virgin Mary that she will give birth to Jesus. So this is this one that I'm talking about here. So at this point, we're talking about that someone wanted to commemorate the Angel Gabriel's announcement to the Virgin Mary that she was giving birth to Jesus. That's her. So if you look up, you see the UFO, and the beam of light is coming down into the building, and Virgin Mary is about to give birth. So the extraterrestrials came to say, hey, this is about to go down. And the conspiracy theory suggests that the ring, the picture in the top of the left, shining onto Mary, is an alien craft. That's what people are saying. But why would somebody? It's definitely not the damn sun with a beam of light. All right. But once again, art experts say that it simply shows a small collection of angels gathered around a circle of clouds, that the ring and light represent the Holy Spirit descending toward the Virgin Mary. And even if whatever both sides says, they're still not saying that the girl sat down and there was a baby born through that intercourse type stuff, XEX or whatever we want to call it. So doesn't that tickle your thoughts, right? You know, once again, what if the opposite is true? That he was part hybrid. How would that change everything? And if you have not, go watch. Like I said, we talked about this one earlier, a couple of days ago. Alien Blood. We go right into RH negative, Alien Blood. Go check it out, the video. But it's part of a 3-part series. Part 2 will be in the members area though, because some of the stuff when we get ready to talk about being tracked and all that, I'm not putting that out there on YouTube. So if you ain't got your membership, there is a link right up there in the top of the chat pinned. You want truth seekers and above. Okay, make sure if you want to go deeper, especially if you are always naked, you want to go into there. Okay, I'm not playing. So it wasn't until I went a little deeper that I found out that the research had began to alter some of the things that I thought about. And one of the art experts suggests that a painting in reference of a religious passage, the heavens opened up and the spirit descended like a dove and put lightning upon him. Now, this was a painting by Dutch artist D. Gelder in the 18th century. Now, UFO hunters that's been out here suggest that the disc-like object shown shining light onto the John the Baptist and Jesus could be a UFO. And this would be this particular picture, or what I'm describing to you right now. Yeah. The scene, which you see that's illustrated, take a look at it, by many artists says that the Internet UFO Theorist website, The Ancient Aliens. However, this scene is particularly interesting because of the flying saucer hovering over the scene with a beam of light shining down and illuminating the event. And you want to consider De Gelder's reputation as one of the elite artists at his time. And it's likely this work was intended to be taken seriously and meant to commemorate that Jesus had ties to aliens and perhaps was in alien origins. This was one of the greatest artists at this time. He not messing with his reputation and talking about UFO. He had no clue about then anyway. It wasn't no joke back then. It was a joke now in the future. Somebody made it a joke. Somebody made it, let's make this thing disappear. Now, I'm not saying once again, definitively to you, that this is the fact. But the evidence surely closed that they thought about UFOs back then. So what does that mean? And we're not going to talk about it. And I'm not saying denounce the church, and I'm not saying blah, blah, blah. But obviously, really, there's something for us to think about. There is a lot for us to think about if you begin to go down the path. It is a lot to think about. All right. The Yellow Book also talks about close encounters of the third kind, but we're not going to get into that. I'm skipping it. It's deep. This Yellow Book is deep. But what it does talk about is something that I thought was pretty, something for us to get into. It talks about animal and human study, mutilations or grays and under bases, and how all of this worked together. And I thought it would be a good thing for us to go into that a little bit. What do y'all think? Should we? Shall we? Shall we go into those things? I think we should. Yeah, I think we should. Let's go into it. Yeah. During the occupation of the Greys, there had been established a quite number of underground bases, they say here. This is part of the Yellow Book. And it's animal and humans. And it's saying that there was underground bases all over the world, especially in the United States. And one such base, among all others, is under the Mesa, Archuleta Mesa, which is about 5 miles northwest of Dulce, Mexico. All right. Details about the base have come across by the way of two different sources. The first source is by the way of an abduction of a woman and her son who witnessed the pickup of a cow for extraction of biological materials. Now, the way the story goes is this mother and a son on a whatever afternoon in May 1980, by the way. A most interesting case occurred in the northern New Mexico. A mother and a son was driving down a rural area. They're driving near Cimarron, where they observed two calves in the process of being abducted. Let me back up. They observed two crafts in the process of abducting a calf. Both of them were then abducted and taken on a separate craft to the underground installation, where the woman witnessed the mutilation of the calf. It was alleged that she also observed vats containing cattle body parts floating in liquid, like a laboratory, like they're studying these cattle. And another vat containing the body of a male human. I said it. Remember I said in the other video that we did a couple of weeks ago, that they found a craft with 17 aliens in them? Remember, all of you who got that particular document, you read it. It was a lot of you got that. You read that one. There were 17 aliens, and when they discovered the cargo was human body parts. See this? They've been doing this. They've been doing this quite some time. I said it. All right. I'm telling you, it's here. I'm just saying. It's crazy. Shouldn't we go deeper? Shouldn't we dig deeper into this? Absolutely, we should. All right. And both of them was abducted. Like you said, it was alleged that she also saw those. Now, the woman was subjected to an exam, and it was further alleged that a small metallic object was implanted into her body as well as into her son's body. Whitley Strieber talked about it himself, having implants in him. Maybe these are tracking devices. It's almost like we tag cattle. We put something on their ear so we know where they are when they're out there somewhere. It's possible. More than one source have informed us that CT scans has also confirmed the presence of these implants in other people. And through regression hypnosis, which I'm sure Barbara Lamb and a lot of these people, they can tell you about this stuff. That the mother and the child followed up the investigation that would determine that the location of the underground facility. So they went through regression therapy where they wanted to find out where this was. Now they're saying it was a kilometer underground beneath the Archuleta Mesa on the Jicarilla Apache Indian Reservation near Dulce, New Mexico. And since 1976, one of the areas of the hardest hit by mutilations. So why not? Hell, they're right there. Let's get them. And it's also said it's been claimed, listen to me closely, that this installation is jointly as part of an ongoing program of cooperation of the U.S. government and the EBEs, okay, extraterrestrial biological entities, all right? There are also underground bases at Kirtland Air Force Base and Holloman Air Force Base, as well as scores of bases around the world, including Bidwater, England. And that's a perfect strategy, by the way, for our military. If we know there's an alien base, let's go ahead and build our Air Force Base on top of it, because that secures the fact that no one else is going to be trying to explore this thing. It's protected. And we know where they are. If they ever come up out of there, we ready, or we see them, all right? So that's one of the things. Now, they're saying that this base is 2.5 miles northeast of Dulce and almost overlooks the town. And there's a level highway about 36 feet wide in this area, and it's the government road. And one can actually see the trailers and buildings that are 5-sided with a dome. Next to the dome is a black limousine that was noted to be a CIA vehicle back then. And these limousines will run you off the road if you try to get into the area. So as we continue the story, yes, I've heard of the battle. In fact, I'm going to do a whole show on the Battle of Dulce. I have a whole information that I'm going to share with you about that in total detail. But in 1979, something happened at the base and was temporarily closed. It was believed that there are 4 additional facilities of the same type, and one being located a few miles to the southeast of Groom Lake, Nevada. Now, the whole question would be, does the use of biological materials for mutilation point to something even more insidious? Could it be worse? And let me go into this, what they're saying. Make sure there's no kids listening before I go further. Remember, this is not a PG conversation, but right now, put the children up, what I'm about to get into next. I'll pause for station identification. Put the children to bed or in another room and all that, because they're not going to get much sleep after what I say in a few minutes. All right, you've been warned. I've said it. And let me continue to go right now. It was saying that the aliens, and they have documents that reveal what the aliens was up to. It's in this yellow book too, okay? It says these aliens use the blood taken from the cattle for nourishment. And then they seem to absorb the atoms to eat. So they're going all the way back down to a molecular structure here. They put their hands in the blood, sort of like a sponge, for nourishments. And you remember in one of the other stories, then they was asking how the aliens eat, and they said now what they do, they just take whatever this green, and they just rub it on their bodies, and it provides the nourishments. So I'm sure this is part of the deal. But it's not just the food that they want. Listen up closely. Let me get some water here. Yeah. Where we're about to go next, it's time for you to thoroughly question what we've been told. And really think about what we're going to talk about when it comes to disclosure. So this is the moment when I realized, man, this stuff can get a little deep. It can get really deep. It really can. And it really does. But it's not food that they want. The DNA from cattle and humans are being altered. Altered, ladies and gentlemen. The cattle and the DNA is being altered. It's being altered. And they saying that type 1 is a lab animal. They call it type 1. And they know how to change this atoms to this creature, a temporary, almost human being, and is made with animal tissue and depends on a computer to simulate the memory. And the memory the computer has withdrawn from another human. You talking about consciousness now? They're working with consciousness now? Is that what I just said? Should I read that again? They're working with consciousness? What? And maybe I'm reading that wrong, or maybe I'm thinking wrong. But they're saying they know how to change the atoms to create a temporary, almost human. Is made with animal tissue and depends on a computer to simulate memory, and a memory that the computer has withdrawn from another human. And they're clones, and they're almost a human being, and is slow and clumsy. So they're still trying to figure it out. Now, obviously, before we go any further, you have to consider the fact that these are not the same aliens who did the creation. See, that's why we know that there's a lot of different species out there, because whoever these species are, they're very fucking curious about us and these things that's walking this planet. Because whoever the original people that made the humans, they're not going to sit here and trying to figure out how to replicate these things and alter the DNA. Or maybe they're trying to make something else. Bigfoot. Sasquatch or something. The real humans are used for training. Real humans are used for training, meaning the people that they abducted are trainers now. Humans are trainers now? That's what y'all saying? Somebody like, trainers now? I'm serious. Humans are used for training, to experiment with the breed, with those almost humans. Now, they can't be getting me and telling me that I'm finna mate with this almost looking human who's probably crazy. No. And some humans are kidnapped and used completely, and some are kept in large tubes and are kept alive in an amber liquid. Dang. Dang, man. I'm saying, yeah. This is in this yellow book stuff, so, yeah. All right. So they're saying the real humans, and they're saying, check this out. Some humans are brainwashed and used to distort the truth. Okay, so they mean they're sending them back to distort the truth. Certain males, okay, males, humans have a high sperm count and they're kept alive. And their sperm is used to alter DNA and create a non-gender being called type 2. And don't take it the wrong way. If you're a female, talking about, oh, they're keeping the males. There is a logical reason behind that, and you know the truth. A one male person, one male, can be put on an island with 100 females, and he can impregnate every last one of them. And if they was trying to do some experience and that all those females had daughters, quote, I'm not saying this is whatever, but he can impregnate them and keep doing it, or they can keep bringing more females every year for 60 years, which I don't know if 100 times 60 is what. Let me see. Let me get a number here because I'm not playing with the numbers. That's the species, boys and girls. 60 times 100. And let's say he has 2 babies each. That's 120,000 kids. It's possible that, well, yeah, if they bring 100 females every year and that one male was to breed with them and get them pregnant, and they did that for 50 years, that's 50,000, okay, right? Over 50 years, that one male could impregnate. That's the male species, ladies and gentlemen. There's something about that. And I'm saying they just come bring new ones every year. Here's a new 100. Here's a new 100. Here's a new 100. And just keep it going. That is, yeah. I'm telling you, I know y'all probably like, yeah, no, that is the deal. Now, would I love to live, if you're going to come and get my ass, and if you come and get me and you said, listen, dude, we're going to have to take you away from Earth. We're going to take you away from your YouTube channel. But here's what we need. I mean, you're 25 times 2 plus 3 right now, but you're still fertile. You good. So your next 20 or 30 years, you're going to have 100 of the best selective gene pool out there. The most beautiful of beautiful, because we're creating something here. And you get 100 every year until you go. Sign me the fuck up now. No, I'm just kidding. Well, how many fellas will sign up for that deal, though? And how many women be like, shit, let me just change sex, too. I won't in on that. I don't know. Y'all funny. So anyway, they're saying that the humans are brainwashed and their sperm is used together. And in some ways, they alter again, and they put it in the wombs. And they resemble ugly humans when they're growing up, but they look normal when they're fully grown. And check this out. It only takes a few months. It only takes a few months. They have a short lifespan. They live less than a year. And some female humans are used for breeding. And countless women have had sudden miscarriage. They talk about 3 months into the pregnancies where people don't know they come back and get them. Some never even know they was pregnant, and others remember contact some way. Yeah. Now, they're saying the fetus is used to mix DNA in types of 1 and 2, and the atomic makeup in the fetus is half human and almost half human and would not survive in the mother's womb. It's taken at 3 months and grown elsewhere. How many? This is the Yellow Book, okay? Once again, if you want, send a contribution, put Yellow Book, your email address. You get what I'm talking about. You know how many people, women that talk about, they felt that they've been abducted, or they felt maybe they have, hybrid kids out there. Some of them that may have been pregnant and come back, and like you said, 3 months later, that's the period where they take them. And you don't know that they came in at night and took that baby. Some people didn't even know they was pregnant, because their time is different from our time, or however they're doing this. Yeah. Yeah. And it says, revealed in the secret documents at Dulce Base, that there are pen and ink reproductions of some photos made in laboratories. There's an illustration of one of the wombs that looks like an illustration showing one of the tubes where one of almost human is grown, and a page showing a simple diagram of crystalline metal per grow crystal, and what looks like to be a genetic diagram of some chart. And they also say what this looks like is an X-ray diffraction from a pattern in a diagram of hexagonal crystals. Now, crystals, I'm wearing them now. These are tiger eye. So the power of crystals right there is being used with alien technology. Hexagonal crystals, which with a comment that are the best electrical conduction. So the crystals are the best electrical conductors. And it would appear that the last half of the materials in review applies to a supercrystalline metal used for a whole structure or something along that. And it's apparent that this and other data can be accumulated over the years in those underground bases and tunnels and complexes. And once again, you may recall the Shaver mysteries, inner Earth stories, which we're going through. That's going to conclude that tonight for what we're talking about. And like I said, I just wanted to touch on a few things, and I'll make some shorter videos of this stuff. And if you found value, that's fine. But I just want you to know, I hope your curiosity was poked tonight. I hope to a point that you're going to go out and you're going to tell people they need to come over here and listen to some of this stuff, because we're going in hard. We're going in with it. I hope that you are getting a better perspective and that you're getting more conversation pieces, that you can have conversation with people out there. I hope that it has expanded your curiosity to the possibility to what we're talking about here, and that you're willing to understand that the time bomb is ticking, my friend, when it comes down to this disclosure. It's ticking. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It's ticking. It really is. It really is. And the question is, should we go deeper into this, not disclosure, but the history of extraterrestrial involvement? Should we go deeper into understanding what the truth was? Should we? Yeah, we should. We all need to wake up to what's happening, to the point that they're here and they could be running things, and to the point to wake up that they're intermingled with our daily activities every day. And there could be some truths that they are controlling certain things. And maybe, and if I did have the ability to do this as an extraterrestrial, I will be rich and powerful because I know the game. I'm not going to be out there on a freaking buggy, going through downtown Dallas, and hoping you can give me some spare change. Why would I live like that? So wouldn't that call in question of some of these super people? Okay. I'm saying it is what it is. I'm not lying. Not to that point. But just don't swallow the lies, people. They expect us to believe it. Just don't do that. Don't do that. So let's get our truth seeker community built. Let's get bigger. Let's get powerful. Let's get the word out. If there's things that you want me to explore, send an email, contact@whythebigsecret.com, and say, hey, man, let's look into that. Can't look up and do a show on everything, but we got researchers and we got some people who can go hard, go deep. You know, you got some curiosity, just send some stuff in and put it out there. Yeah. And the question would be, how can we uncover these truths? And we can do this by working together as one. We can do that. So I want to thank each and every one of you. It's Friday. You could have been any other place tonight, and you chose to be right here, right now. And like I said, if you have not had an opportunity, you need to watch this video, Alien Blood. Watch it. It's just part one, but you need to watch it. We go through a lot. So if you have not and you don't want to know about this blood, because it is extraterrestrial blood. It really is. And so I think it's something that you want to pay attention to. If you have that you want to share your experience or something, you know, there it is, 800 number, 888-345-9121. It's 24 hours. You can call. Leave a message if I don't answer, please. Leave a message, and the call is recorded, and we can get to you about wherever you're going or any of that stuff. So that is something that I will say that's pretty interesting. All right. So with that being said, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. And I thank each and every one of you. And see you next time.